abstinence, essentially, or cutting back. Spending more time in a natural environment with people. And that was part of this person's, issue as well. People were hurting him, or he was feeling hurt from people. All right, money. So this is a class I've been trying to actually do that should be a separate class. Because people, for example, my work study came in just before I came here and said, people are in crisis all the time around this campus. Like, oh yeah, welcome to my world. So what did you encounter? Oh, somebody who forgot to sign their promissory note, so she didn't get her financial aid and the rent's due. Okay, common enough. Sign the promissory note. But we could have actually taught her to be more financially literate than we are. So, no, this is not a combination. When you get financial aid, it's not a welfare and unemployment check. You actually have to get a D average and actually make satisfactory academic progress. Complete 67% to get the money, or else you have to pay the money back in real time. So it ain't just like unemployment or a welfare check. So people are using it like that, or to buy drugs or whatever they do. So money sadhana, a daily financial discipline. So sadhana basically means a daily spiritual discipline. And so a lot of people don't think of money with that. I certainly have my difficulties with money in terms of money sadhana, but there is a daily financial discipline. So, for example, why gamble when you can have a sure thing? So as an example, when I say it's obviously simple common sense with gambling, you gamble with money you have to throw away. If you don't have money to throw away, don't gamble. That's simple common sense, right? But people don't think like that when they're in front of video crack or online gambling. Do you put your money where your heart is? First, you have to determine where your heart is and how your money reinforces where your heart is. So where is your heart? Is it with enriching others or enriching you and your family? There is a saying about you vote with your dollars. So for example, when we moved from doing your social recon, some of you thought, well, this is a stupid assignment. I'm glad you were honest enough to say that. And then you said, oh, I thought I was above the influence of advertising. I thought I was beyond that. It seemed so silly and obvious that, people shouldn't be influenced by advertising, but oh, wow, I am. Right. I am too. But it's being conscious of it. So, where is your heart? Is it with enriching others or enriching you and your family? Do you have a financial goal? Do you have a financial direction you're moving towards every day, or are you living paycheck to paycheck? You might be living paycheck to paycheck, but you could also be in motion towards a goal, too. Where every paycheck, a portion of it gets you closer to your goal. So this is from a social recon. I actually just told you this story. So 3 kinds of different video poker players. One, When Jane, not a real name, cashed her winning ticket of $500, she gambled $700 to get there, even though she is down $200. The ticket is proof, quote unquote, there is big money to be made. So she cashes in and gambles the $500 away, $120 at a time. I have seen her every day for 5 years. This person works a bar. Now, I've had previous social recons from people who work bars, and this person also does the take from each machine. Previous people have reported that when a machine starts paying out too much, they actually adjust the machine so it pays out less. I'm just saying. If you didn't know that, you didn't suspect that, I mean, think about who this is. This is the state of Oregon, and we need money because we ain't getting enough money from property tax. So we're going to get it from what? So great, lottery money goes to schools. Great. You're also making money from human suffering. Oh well. Right? 2, the drinker. Howard comes in and has a drink and is usually out of there. Just one drink. When he has more than just one and is feeling good, he will go off to feed the machine, gambling with the rent or light bill money as if it will happen for him at any time. Jim, a penny banker, okay, brings in change to cash in for dollars and then play to win for cigarettes or complimentary coffee or soda. Jim's homeless. So he's essentially canning or, changing or signing or whatever. On an average night, the video poker will average a gross intake of $7,000, with the machines only paying out $1,200 to $1,500. On these nights, however, lottery will gross $15,000 but only play out $4,000. That's tickets. When is it enough? When will they realize that they have put so much money into their habit that not only they are not winning anything, but they will never come close to even breaking even? Yeah. Okay, but again, that's angel brain and human brain thinking. These people are in reptile brain. Okay, so they're not in their heart. They're not even thinking about their heart, except, in terms of like despair. So I wanted to stop that. Okay? So money as an acronym. Here's how it works. My own natural energy yield. In case this shows up on a midterm somewhere near you, you'll know what it is, huh? Hint, hint. All right, I could actually, I'm on the Mac, so I can actually do this in real time. So your money flows where you put your attention. So you put your intention to where you want your money to go. But first you have to have the intention first. You have to be conscious about that. All right, this is where I want to hack this. So normally I don't compose in real time in a class, but I want to point something out to you in case you didn't know this already. Where does the concept of money come from?
Before we did
Before we did trading. Well, what are you trading for?
Things? Oh, wait, objects, material.
Okay, so money is surplus labor. Surplus labor is that beyond which you need to survive. So it's a symbol of tradable surplus. Okay, surplus is more than you need. All right, so here's how it works, and I'll just put this up now. All right, so back in the day, before we had cities, when we all lived in villages, okay, you took care of your own self. You gathered water at the river by yourself. You gathered your own firewood for your hut. And you made your own clothes, you fed your own babies, you fed your own family. You were able to get all your survival needs taken care of on your own in a village. Okay? So that's basic survival labor. Surplus, so that means you also had your own food plot, your own garden, your own ability to hunt and gather and have all the food for your family within your own hut. Okay? As an economic unit. So what an economy is trade of goods and services. All right? So what money then becomes is everything outside of that. Because it's assumed everybody else has their own hut, their own ability to gather firewood, their own, ability to hunt and gather in their own garden plot. Now here's what happens in cities, because y'all were raised in now an environment where you don't live by a river. You have to go out and buy your own food because it takes an acre of land to feed a single person for a year. That food. So if you don't grow, plant, harvest, cultivate, etc., your own food, then you're depending on other people to do that. And therefore, what you are doing, this is the concept, this is why the concept of an hourly wage becomes critical. How much of your life, beyond surplus, that is what you need to survive, you're basically trading an hour of your life of labor for that service. And that's what these frog skins are, as we natives call them. Greenbacks, frog skins, right? So it doesn't matter whether it's a wampum belt, which is what our money was here on the East Coast, or abalone shells or cowrie shells in Africa. The concept is the same. Gold pieces, silver. That's why I was saying, how come gold miners don't make more money than the guys that own the gold mine? How come the gold miners aren't owning the gold mine? Because they're doing the dirty, dangerous work. And they're getting paid less than the dude that owns the mine. Why don't they overthrow I can't say that, that's communism. But it makes sense, right? Who's taking the risk? Whose labor is producing that, right? So essentially what you're doing, what you're training to do here is up your value in an economy so that your hourly wage goes up through having a college degree or a lot, learning, et cetera, learning and experience. So surplus labor is that beyond which you need to survive. That's what money is, essentially. Okay? Symbol of the tradable surplus. Okay? So whether it's storytelling, entertainment, that has a value. Unless you're a songwriter yourself, and hey, I can do songs better, Every guitar player watching some rock star doing lead guitar, I can do that. Yeah, right. Well, how come you're in the audience and they're on stage, right? Guys at the Saturday market. All right. So, financial independence. So, right livelihood is a Buddhist concept. The idea is right livelihood is something you would do even if you didn't get paid for it because it's your purpose in life. And because it's your purpose in life, the universe supports you in doing it. And also part of financial independence, you are debt-free and not tied down by your lack of finances. So that's why I'm talking about like where your heart is. Why are you training to do this? Now, I didn't train to become a drug counselor, trust me. In my high school, which is the biggest dope school in LA, it was, my friends laughed, Mark Harris, a drug counselor? Yeah, okay, well, who better? I mean, who was talking you out of your bad acid trip when I was on acid? Who was holding you when you were dope sick on heroin? Became a useful skill to be the person that could be responsible while everybody else was losing their heads. I didn't know that it would become an avocation because there were no drug counselors in 1971, 1972. I just went to get a psychology degree, and when I got a psychology degree, a BA, in California, that just meant that I could get paid for working with people that nobody else wanted to work with because they were scared. Which meant inner city black kids who were, witnessing domestic violence, children of alcoholics, and they were self-medicating, smoking weed in 3rd grade. Actually, when I left LA, dealing went down to kindergarten. So, yeah, because these 3rd graders are, witnessing domestic violence and they're self-medicating using weed. But of course, in 1971, since there's no drug treatment and they're in South Central LA and they're black, nobody gives a shit. So I'm working this clinic that my dad's the medical director in, and that's my summer job, working with them or working with mentally retarded folks. What do you do with a BA in psychology? Work with some people that nobody else wants to work with because they're scared. It's hard stuff, but it's tradable, right? And now I'm in this career where I'm like the only drug counselor in the community college in the state. And yeah, every day is like, people are in crisis. Stuff is predictable and it's not easy to deal with, but you got to deal with it because nobody else wants to. So let's teach them basic skills around money. That's been my thing. Okay, students are getting into predictable and preventable financial trouble because nobody has taught them how to make plans, do financial planning until they get into trouble. Let's make it so they're not in trouble first. How about that? Because there's some traps that are built in. Okay? Just like what I was talking about with alcohol. There's traps with money. There are people that are gambling that you will remain ignorant and trusting of them. Do not. All right. So, here's one of the things that we often deal with, especially in the drug world. People think that, DARE, D-A-R-E, drugs are really expensive. Right? And that you can make a lot of money drug dealing. The problem is, or growing weed and selling it. Growing weed with a medical card and selling the excess, right? Ha ha ha. Make a lot of money unless you get caught, then you go to prison. Oh, you can't put more than $10,000 at a time in a bank. What are you going to do with the money? So you've got big time growers who got millions of